Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management. I'm Harry Donahue, and today I'm at Applebrook Golf Club in Malvern, where the pro Dave McNab is getting ready to play in his second straight PGA Championship. We'll find out how Dave qualified down at Myrtle Beach recently and his preparations for the PGA Championship in Louisville at Valhalla. Also coming up, we'll begin a segment with one of the Rothman Institute Orthopedics. The folks at Rothman are going to be telling us over the next few weeks how to deal with certain injuries, some of which occur on the golf course or because of maybe you're getting up there in years and your swing isn't what it used to be, but maybe they can help you get it back to where it was. So stay with us from Applebrook with Dave McNab and our special feature with the Rothman Institute Orthopedics. Next, right here on Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management. Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management, helping you build, manage, and preserve wealth. And by the Philadelphia Section PGA, experts in the game and business of golf.
Whether you are beginning to plan for your future, building your nest egg, or nearing retirement, Susquehanna Wealth Management will take the time to understand your unique situation and provide a customized, comprehensive strategy. From investment management and trust services to retirement planning for you or your business, we can help you develop a long-term plan to meet your specific financial goals. We understand that through life stages, your needs and financial objectives change. No matter where you are in life or how much wealth you have accumulated, we're always available to sit down with you to review your plan and adjust it as necessary. Susquehanna Wealth Management.
Susquehanna Wealth Management, helping you build, manage, and preserve wealth.
Your reaction to your pro, Dave McNab, making it back to the PGA Championship?
Just couldn't be more delighted for him, his family, the club. Everything. He's just been a terrific pro that addresses all levels of golfers, and he's just been terrific. Fun guy to play with.
Okay, so you'll be rooting for him down at Valhalla, huh?
Actually, I'll be hopefully down there with him, walking along with him. So, yeah.
I hope you're there for 4 days.
I hope I'm there for Sunday afternoon, okay, because I got his acceptance speech all worked out for him, okay?
Welcome back to Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management. We are at Applebrook in Malvern with head professional Dave McNab. And Dave, thanks for having us, and congratulations. Your second straight appearance coming up in the PGA Championship. It's like old hat now, huh?
I don't know about
Not
that.
quite.
This kind of stuff never gets old, but thanks for coming out. I appreciate you taking the time, Harry.
As I mentioned, Dave qualified for this year's PGA Championship at Valhalla in Louisville a few weeks ago down in Myrtle Beach. Second year in a row, you finished in the top 20 at the PGA Professional Championship. I think they used to call it the Club Pro Championship.
They did.
Now they gave it a big fancy name.
That's right.
But it means the same thing because the top 20 finishers get to play in the PGA Championship. And even though you didn't win, finishing the top 20 is almost as good, isn't it?
It's almost as good. It's the next best thing.
All right. Now let's go back, first of all, to a little bit of your history. You've been at Applebrook here for a few years, but you're not a native of the Philadelphia area, are you?
No, I originally grew up in Michigan, just north of Detroit, a town called Mount Clemens. Just kind of fumbling around from job to job, and met somebody that asked me to get a job as an assistant. They said, have you thought about getting in the golf business? I said, no. So sent a few letters out, had some relatives in the area, found a job out here, and moved to Newark in 1993. And here I am now. You were at Cavaliers, and now you're at Applebrook. Yep.
For how many years now?
This is my 5th season at Applebrook.
5th season at Applebrook.
Yep.
Take us back again to Michigan as a young kid. When did you realize that you were a good player, and when did you have a desire to get into golf professionally? You know,
I was never really what I would consider a tournament caliber player until I got in the golf business and worked on my game. You know, back in Michigan, I would shoot, you know, in the mid-70s, low 80s, kind of bouncing around between those numbers, which, you know, isn't bad golf by any stretch, but never really got the opportunity to get serious about it until I got into the golf business and started working on my game. And you know, then I just kind of plugged along and kind of got better year after year. And
was there anybody that mentored you back in those days that was encouraging and at the same time maybe helped you with a tip or two in the game?
Yeah, I ran into, I had quit playing golf for 2 or 3 years between the ages of 18 to 20, let's say, and through a friend of a friend, I met a guy who who was an old golf pro, and you know, we would go out and play from time to time, and you know, I was interested in the game obviously, and he kind of got me on the right track, and he was the one that said, why don't you get a job as an assistant, and you know, helped me with a couple swing tips along the way, and that kind of led me on the path to where I am today.
Well, I was going to say, to get from there to qualifying 2 years in a row for the PGA Championship, you obviously have to have game. I mean, when did all of a sudden things really begin to click for you?
I would say probably, you know, in my early 30s, early to mid 30s is when I really started to be competitive on a consistent basis. You know, and that was just strictly through hard work, determination, you know, a handful of guys in this area helping me out along the way, and you know, and that's really when I started to become competitive. And then, you know, I'm playing the best golf of my life right now, you know, in my late 40s, so I'm pretty proud of that fact.
It's amazing. I always tell athletes, make sure you peak late. Don't peak early, peak late. And you've taken that sort of as far as it can go.
Yeah, right? I don't think you can peak much later than 48.
No, you don't get too many chances at 48 to do what you've been doing.
No.
Now, last year you finished 9th in the PGA Professional Championship, and that was all the way out, what, in Oregon, right?
Yes, yep.
So you had to travel all the way to the West Coast.
I did.
4 rounds of competition, and you finished 9th. How does one, first of all, get into the PGA Professional Championship? Did you have to qualify here locally?
You qualify locally. Our section championship is also the qualifier for the National Club Pro Championship. So the top, depending upon how many entrants you have, we have about 180 to 190 people that enter that. So we had 12 spots available. So the top 12 finishers go to advance to the National Club Pro Championship. And then if you finish in the top 20 there, you make it to the PGA.
How was that experience for you? Obviously pretty good, finishing in the top 9. Where did you stand day by day leading up to that final round?
That was a little different than this past experience. I birdied the last 2 holes to make the 36-hole cut by 1 or 2 shots. I don't remember correctly. So I was in the, let's say, 40th to 50th place. I shot 1 over par the next round and moved up to about 25th or so, and then I shot 1 under par the final round and moved all the way up to 9th. So it was kind of a progressive move up the ladder that way.
A little different this year.
Yeah, a little different this year.
Going back to last year, though, what was that like? Qualifying for the PGA Championship, which was played up in Rochester at Oak Hill, and Jason Duffner, of course, won it. You didn't make the cut last year, though,
I did.
Right?
No.
A couple rounds, like low mid 70s.
Yeah,
not enough
74, 76. I didn't drive the ball particularly well, which is typically one of my strengths. Yeah, and that kind of led to some less than desirable you know, scores on a few holes. But overall, I played pretty well. I was happy with the way I played.
Did you have a pinch me moment when you stepped between the ropes, maybe for that first tee shot on that first round?
Yeah, you know, it wasn't so much for the first tee shot, although that was pretty exciting. But I was telling somebody earlier today, when I got to number 14, the first tee and the 14th tee kind of run side by side right here. So we had played 13 holes. I get to the 14th tee, and the group that was there was waiting to tee off number 1. They were waiting for the fairway to clear. So we went ahead and hit. But standing there watching me get ready to hit my tee shot was Tom Watson, Darren Clark, and Paul McGinley, 2 Ryder Cup captains in the past British Open Championship. You know, so the first 2 guys hit, I'm last to hit, and I'm standing over this tee shot with a hybrid, and all I'm thinking is, these guys probably can't wait for me to get the hell out of the way.
What kind of nervous jitters did you have on the first hole the first day?
You know, obviously it was a little nerve-wracking. Not quite as nerve-wracking as I thought it would be, but still, you know, there's some anxious moments there. There's probably 10,000 people surrounding that first tee because of 1 and 14 being right there. But it was a good nervous.
And who were you playing with?
I played with Stephen Gallagher from England,
right,
and Brandon Grace from South Africa.
And they get up and they introduce you just like they'd introduce Tiger Woods or Darren Clark or
yep,
any other major winner, right?
Sure.
From Malvern, Pennsylvania.
Yep. Dave
Here's
McNab.
Dave McNab. Bingo.
Yep.
Play away, huh?
Dave. Yep.
And the second day you played with, did either one of those guys make the cut?
Brandon Grace, or I'm sorry, Stephen Gallagher made it by a shot. Brandon Grace missed it, I think, by a shot.
And then you hung around to watch the next 2 days?
We hung around. Actually, Saturday, my family and I went to Niagara Falls, which was a nice little break, and we came home Sunday to watch the final round on TV.
Okay, and you were looking at it saying, I remember standing there.
Yeah, I sure do. I sure do. It was fun to watch on TV like we were talking about earlier. I mean, Jason Duffner just hit some amazing golf shots that last round.
Well, we'll be back to talk about how Dave qualified for this year's PGA Championship coming up soon. We'll do that We'll be back here with Dave McNab from Applebrook on Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management.
At this moment, across the country, families are packing their bags for a getaway. And no matter where they end up, they'll all be home by dinner. Plan your own at playgolfamerica.com. From finding fun and affordable programs to finding advice from PGA and LPGA professionals, playgolfamerica.com has a way for you to get away. Visit today for details. playgolfamerica.com, your link to the game.
If you haven't seen it already, I'd like to introduce you to Jersey Man Magazine, published by former Eagle tight end Ken Dunek. It's the only men's magazine in our area. Enjoy articles on cigars, politics, and, of course, golf. Written by big-time journalists. And even more exciting news. Philly Man Magazine debuts this summer. Subscriptions are only $20 a year and are available at jerseymanmagazine.com. Welcome back to Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management. We're at Applebrook in Malvern with head professional Dave McNab, talking about his experience in the past at the PGA Championship. And Dave will be teeing it up in this year's PGA Championship down in Louisville at Valhalla Golf Club. All right, Dave, you qualified a few weeks back at Myrtle Beach, and I think the best way to describe it is after the first round you were up here, and after the second round you came down here, and it was all over the place in between, but you finally got in there, the top 20.
Yeah, we snuck it in there on the last stroke and the last hole.
Wow, what a way. Drama. You're a master of drama. Tell us, first of all, you got off to a great start. You were the co-leader after round one.
I did. I shot 5 under par the first round, made just one bogey. I was a 3-putt on the 9th hole, but yeah, I just played really well.
Now, going into the qualifying down there at Myrtle Beach in that PGA Professional National Championship, were you playing pretty good? Did you kind of take that with a grain of salt, thinking, hey, I think my game's ready for this?
Yeah, I knew my game was in pretty good shape, and you know, I had been playing well the middle part of the season, so I felt like I had a pretty good opportunity to go down there and play well, and fortunately that happened.
Now, the second round, not as good as that 67 in the first round, huh?
No, you know, the second round was really the only round down there where I hit a small stretch of holes where I didn't play particularly well. I was 5 or 6 over par for a 7-hole stretch, which really kind of got me rattled a little bit. But I did come back and birdie the 7th and the 9th hole, which were 2 of my last 3 holes that round. It kind of got me back in position to make a run back to the top 20.
Now, I don't know how big the field was, but they cut it down after round 2, right?
Yeah, 312.
So what did it get down to after 36 holes?
They cut it to 90 players after 36 holes.
Okay, and then there was another cut after round 3.
To the low 70.
And you did pretty well in round 3.
I did do well in round 3. I backed it up with a 2 under par 70 and actually had a pretty good chance to shoot a couple strokes lower than that, but it was another good performance in round 3.
So where were you sitting heading into that final round overall?
I was tied for 3rd going into the final round.
Tied for 3rd. So not only you figured you had a ticket punch for Valhalla, but now you're looking at a chance to win the whole thing in that final 18.
That's really what was on my mind going into the last round, was trying to make a run for the championship. Yeah, I was only 3 shots back at the time.
And a lot of the guys, I think, from watching the tournament on television, were guys who had been, you know, there before, had a lot of experience in that event, including, I think, the guy who won it last year. Wasn't he in the hunt to win it back-to-back this year?
Yeah, I think he was, as a matter of fact. I think he was.
So, you know, you're up against some pretty stiff competition, but you're sitting there in 3rd place. So take us through the front 9 of that final 18.
Got off to a pretty good start. You know, I made a nice par on the first hole, hit a good shot into the second hole, but I had some mud on my ball. Ended up about 50 feet from the hole, hit a nice putt down there about 3 feet short of the hole, and had an old cup right in between me and the hole, and hit it over the old cup, just kicked it a little left. So I'm still doing okay at that point. I make a couple nice pars, you know, play a couple more holes, hit a nice shot into the par 5 about 8 feet for birdie. Hit what I thought was a good putt. It didn't do what we thought it was going to do. And then I bogeyed the next hole, so now I'm 3 over after 9 holes.
So you and your caddy have a little pep talk on the 10th tee?
We do, we do.
Now your caddy's from Applebrook?
He is, yeah, Donnie Wessner.
Okay,
yep.
So he's familiar with your game. So pick up the back 9.
So I make a nice up and down on 10, hit a good shot into a difficult hole location, make a nice about a 6-footer for par, and I get to number 11, drive it in the fairway bunker, which wasn't a very good tee shot, and I hit a beautiful putt. I mean, if it didn't go in the hole, it was probably going 4 or 5 feet by, but it gets to the hole and just makes a left turn and goes right in.
Greatest six you ever
Greatest
made in
six.
your life.
So now I feel like I go from feeling like I just, you know, ended the world to like I just made a birdie.
That's like an albatross almost,
sure.
right?
Yeah, Donnie's looking at it and making sure we're, you know, we still got a fighting chance. And we kind of knew at that point we were right along the number. And most of the groups behind us were already in, you know, or coming in. So we knew, you know, coming up 15, 16, 17, we needed to make something special happen. And we knew 18 was the hardest hole on the golf course. So we were trying to get something done before then, but just couldn't make it happen.
So you come to 18 and you figure this is the hole you probably have to birdie to pretty much lock up.
Right.
Maybe 19th or 20th spot.
Right.
So what happens?
Hit a beautiful drive right down the middle of the fairway, and I'm about 165 yards from the green. Water right in front of the green, two-tier green, pins on the bottom slope. So longs were not really an option. It's a tough two-putt if you hit it long. So wind's howling in our face, and I said we decide we're going to hit a 5-iron. So
what do you normally hit a 5-iron?
About 185.
Okay.
About 185. So it's a good 20
165.
yards. Yeah, good 20 yards, and I hit a really good solid 5-iron, and comes up just on the front edge of the green, rolls up about 20 feet from the hole. So and at this point, I know if I make the putt, I'm good. If I two-putt, I'm in, and if something stupid happens, I'm going home, and it's going to be a long plane ride.
Nothing stupid.
No.
Nothing stupid.
So fortunately, we read the putt right, and I hit it, and it's one of those putts when you hit it and you go, that's on the right line at the right speed. If the read's right, it's going to go in. And sure enough, right in the middle of the hole. And I got a little excited.
The second most excited guy was you.
Mike, yeah,
Donnie was the most excited.
Yeah, he was probably the most excited.
Donnie jumps.
He's jumping
all
up
over
in the
place.
air, and yeah. So you know, because he was excited about going to Valhalla, just as excited as I was. So,
That's some roller coaster ride. Huh?
It was unbelievable.
Now, when you're standing over that approach shot into the wind, 165 yards or whatever, I mean, how do you stay in the moment and not, you know, overhit it or, you know, mishit it simply because of nerves or something like that?
Yeah, you know, I think my preparation leading up to that tournament really helped me, and the thing I really focused on the most was my pre-shot routine and just trying to do the same thing over and over and over again, so that when you get into one of those pressure-packed situations, you're not thinking about what it means. You're thinking about just going through the routine, reacting to your routine, and hitting the shot. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. You know, but fortunately it worked for me. I went through my routine, you know, same number of steps to the ball, same number of waggles, hit the shot and see what happens, and fortunately it came off for me.
So was your phone blowing up with texts?
Oh, I must have had, I can't tell you how many texts. I probably had 100 emails, and you know, I got tons and tons of support from the members here, which was great. You know, my wife's sending me these little chickens every time I make a birdie.
Any members down there in the gallery?
No, there weren't any down there.
How about when you go down to Valhalla? Do you think you'll have any familiar faces
I think,
outside the ropes?
There's a couple guys talking about coming down. I had some unbelievable support last year up at Oak Hill, obviously a little bit closer to home, a little easier to get to. I probably had 30 or 40 members who made the trip up, which was great to see. But you know, they're all very excited about what's going on, and you know, that means a lot to me. I appreciate the support from them.
Yeah. So you'll have a couple practice rounds down in Louisville. Mm-hmm. Tournament begins on August 4th or
August
7th.
Yep.
So you'll get down to the 4th. You've never played Valhalla? I
haven't.
It?
I have
so
not.
So it'll be a whole new experience.
Yeah, I did a little research on your computer, but that's about all I've seen of it so far.
Okay. And hey, last year you didn't make the cut. The goal this year is to at least get to Saturday, right?
Get there on the weekend. That's exactly right.
Dave, it's been a real pleasure.
Eric.
Thanks for reliving the last 2 years, and good luck in the PGA Championship at Valhalla.
Thanks for coming out to Applebrook to visit us. I appreciate it.
Coming up next, we continue with Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management, with a new feature, the Orthopedics from Rothman Institute, with some tips for you when maybe you have a sore elbow, a sore shoulder, anything orthopedics. The people at Rothman Institute can help, especially when it comes to golf.
Instead of bouncing it off the rubber.
Valley Forge Casino Resort, we're rolling out the action. And we'll bring it all to the table. Valley Forge Casino Resort. It's safe, it's chic, and only a shuffle away from the main line.
At this moment, across the country, families are packing their bags for a getaway. And no matter where they end up, they'll all be home by dinner, Plan your own at playgolfamerica.com. From finding fun and affordable programs to finding advice from PGA and LPGA professionals, playgolfamerica.com has a way for you to get away. Visit today for details. playgolfamerica.com, your link to the game.
These all generate a lot of force that causes your wrist to buckle.
We are introducing a new segment here on Inside Golf and are pleased to be working with Philadelphia PGA partner Rothman Institute, the region's largest orthopedic provider. Weekly segments will address common golf-related injuries, the mechanics behind these injuries, as well as recommended treatment and prevention methods that golfers can take to help manage and hopefully prevent these injuries from happening. 5 areas that we will be covering are wrist, knee, back, elbow, and shoulder. Here to help us understand how these joints operate is Dr. Paul Marchetto. Dr. Marchetto is a sports medicine surgeon at Rothman Institute. He is also a team physician for the Philadelphia Eagles. He will be working with Scott Riley with today's topic of discussion, the elbow.
Thanks, Leela. So Doc, we see a lot of the golfers come in, they have a little bit of issues with their elbow. They get some pain, they've come, they may be struggling with some of the contact, and we as golf professionals want to know some of maybe the reasons of what's happening there. Can you explain when they maybe come to Rothman and what's going on?
Sure, Scott. So one of the things that we always talk about is the difference between a golfer's elbow and a tennis player's elbow pain. So in golf, the pain is on the inside of the elbow. Okay, it'll be right in here. And the cause of that is when you come through the ball, if you're impacting hard surface, for example, hitting off a mat or hitting hard turf or hitting a tree root, these all generate a lot of force that causes your wrist to buckle, and the muscle that holds the wrist tight fails, and you get tenderness where the tendon attaches to the bone on the medial side of the elbow. So then we talk about how do you prevent that. First thing we tell the players, as you would, to stop hitting off of mats, use a tee instead of bouncing it off the rubber, doing stretching exercises that use to really stretch those muscles. We ask that they ice it after they play. We have little straps that you've seen, tennis elbow, golfer's elbow straps that we use to help minimize the movement of that muscle to take some of the pressure off of that. These are some little tips that we use that help. I mean, at worst, you get an injection. You see a physician and we'll inject it. There's therapy that can be done, strengthening can be done. All these little tips that really do diminish grip pain and allow your player to play better.
Gotcha. Would you say, and the difference of the tennis elbow is that it's on the, you're referring to the outside?
Correct. So the same thing with a golfer that's hitting with the inside. A tennis player, think of the backhand. It's the backhand that will use this side of the wrist and elbow, and this is where the attachment is. So the tennis elbow is on the outside, golfer's elbow is on the inside.
Gotcha. And would you say the stretching prior to the round is just important? I think a lot of people just come right out of the car, slam the trunk, and they're going right to the first tee. I mean, are we talking preventative? You're talking about strengthening prior, or even stretching priors is probably really key.
Exactly, Scott. So most of us, you know, that are not professional, you know, we tend to be late always at the tee time. So you show up and, you know, it's maybe 5 minutes, you're out there and you do a cursory stretch, but it's not enough. So really, especially if you're trying to recover from a tendinitis, you really have to warm up and get things softened up before you play and do the appropriate stretching exercises between rounds.
Doc, some of the things that I would recommend some of our students is to, you know, they've been in this repetitive motion. I would recommend them sometimes to imagine when they're hitting balls that they can play a hole. So hit a driver, then take a break, hit a 7-iron. Can you elaborate on the repetitive motion side of it and some of the things you recommend?
Sure. The idea of diminishing the repetitiveness of this would be to change up the shots. When they start having soreness, it's important that they understand that they have to back off on the repetitive nature. Icing afterwards, stretching afterwards, and allowing this to recover rather than trying to play through it. So I think that'll do it.
Thanks so much, Doc, and hopefully take some of these tips and they can help your game.
The industry and this company have seen tremendous growth over the past several years. Instead of having 1 or 2 products for every consumer, we're now able to offer solutions that fit your specific needs. Instead of trying to push a round peg into a square hole, we're now able to discuss your entire wealth needs and use an array of products that can accomplish these goals. We've expanded our offerings to include many equity choices like small, mid, and large cap value, a large cap core product that can rotate to growth in a bull market, and even a real estate offering. Our fixed income solutions range from short-term cash management needs all the way up to longer-term maturities. We can fully embrace each customer's unique situation and create a diversified, low-risk portfolio. Our objective as a firm has been to expand enough to be able to satisfy every customer need. It doesn't matter what the situation is, and we don't have to push any specific product like our competitors because each client's situation is unique. This helps put our customer needs first, which is the way the industry should be. Throughout the history of our firm over the past 5 decades, we've always emphasized the short-term preservation of capital first and the long-term growth of assets second. Successful investing does not need to take on unnecessary risk. It's our job as risk managers to not lose capital but also grow your portfolio. A lot of our clients are at or near retirement. They've taken risks their entire lives, and it's our job to protect that capital base but also grow it when the markets are advancing. That has not changed. You don't have to swing for the fences and add volatility. We attempt to minimize the wild swings in the marketplace and catch that steady pace towards your goals. To assist in what can be a very confusing process, Susquehanna Wealth Management offers a free, comprehensive analysis that acts as our roadmap for the client. In our review, we find out how the investor is currently positioned, identify areas of risk or areas that warrant more attention, identify areas that they are missing, outline favorable areas that we feel like they should be more exposed to. So it's a comprehensive plan that ties everything together and is very unique and personal for each investor. Again, it goes back to us being able to offer competitive solutions around a wide range of products that can fit each customer's unique needs.
You never know who you're going to run into at a golf course. And when I come to Applebrook, I always hope to see Ray Peppelman, attorney at law, Media, Pennsylvania, member at Applebrook, and fellow classmate, class of 1966, St. Joe's Prep. I know I look a lot older, Ray, but this guy's held up pretty good. And Dave McNab's held up pretty good.
Nobody's held up better than Dave McNab. He's just absolutely terrific, a great pro here. He's been a great asset to Applebrook. We couldn't be more happy for him to be back in the PGA, and we're certainly hopeful that he gets it to Sunday afternoon, and that a lot of us are down there at Valhalla to give him some support.
He made a great putt just to qualify, a birdie putt on the 18th hole down there at Myrtle Beach. Did you have any doubts that he was going to be able to do that?
Absolutely not. I played with Dave enough, and no question in my mind he was going to be able to do it and succeed in the PGA event.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management. Don't forget the PGA Championship from Valhalla coming up in, well, less than 2 weeks, August 7th through the 10th. Keep your eyes on Dave McNab from Applebrook as he tries to make it to Saturday and Sunday. Our best wishes for Dave and all the folks at Applebrook. They'll be with him down in Louisville. That's it for this week's edition of Inside Golf, and I'm Harry Donahue. Remember, no matter how bad it's going for you, don't pick up. And I'll see you next time on Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management. Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management, helping you build, manage, and preserve wealth. And by the Philadelphia Section PGA, experts in the game and business of golf.